When the dark falls, we rise with the light. Our faith in Prime is steadfast, the loyalty to our people strong. Our mission without end, a battle forever fought. Calms before storms, death before life. Forged by the flame, bound by the blade. Fear leads to doubt, courage leads to assurance. When evil arose, the Prime stood strong. Through them we are born, by their word we shall fight. I vow to protect thee, for I am a prodigy. That's deep, man. That's deep.
Stay nerdy and get your geek on.
What's up, guys? BC coming back at you guys with another Transformers video review. And today, after putting it off for so many years, I'm finally getting around to it. It is the masterpiece MP24 Starsaber, aka one of my all-time favorite pieces in my collection. I love this figure to absolute death, but I'm going to warn you guys up front here and now. There are upgrade parts on this, and the reason why there's upgrade parts on this is because I got the KFC Simba as well as the KFC upgrade joints, so mine isn't stock, at least not as stock as it used to be. Honestly, I felt he needed them over time because his joints just went to crap over time. But overall, I'm very happy with the figure still. And yeah, I think I've taken up enough of your time. Let's go ahead and get started with the very first accessory, that being the Brain of Courage. So there's the Brain of Courage and all his teensy tiny little detailed glory. I always found it funny that the Brain Master basically spoiled you to what his super mode was aside from the head. I always found this really funny. He comes with a rifle, which flips down, typical Masterpiece style. I have issues with this, but we'll get into that later on in the video. He comes with this shield, and we will get into the awesome side of this in this video as well as another video. You'll see. He comes with this. It'll make sense. It's basically a flight standard afterpiece. So yeah, there you go. He comes with a sword handle extension for, you know, if you wanted to do the two-handed poses. This thing is great for that, but it sucks for a single hand. He comes with this little thing because it's funny. I know it's the handle to Saber's sword. I just think it's super tiny, super cute, and super funny. Speaking of swords, you get two blades in here. One for Saber and one for Starsaber. But of course, like I said at the top of the video, I don't really use this one anymore. Because with the upgrades, I got this. A much larger blade. This thing is awesome. It's so cool. It's so shiny. Yeah, it's safe to say that this is the only blade I choose to use. Gimmicks-wise for the jet mode, I guess you can count the fact that you can pretty much store all the blades and the gun, and basically you can store everything on the figure as a whole. Aside from the flight stand, he has the landing gear that folds out up here and back here. Once I get him on the flight stand, I'll be able to show you how to fold all that up. But as of right now, you know, the overall look of this jet mode is pretty sharp for all intents and purposes. I love the way this looks. But you gotta understand, I'm a fan of victory. So, I feel a way about it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get him onto that flight stand, shall we? Take this bit, slide it out. Take this bit, slide it in. Take these back landing gear wheels, fold them in, and then fold this bit down. These wheels right here, fold up, and then the whole panel folds in. Folds up, fold the whole panel in. By utilizing this tab and this slot, you're going to kind of tab it in and then angle it up, and it will latch onto the crotch, which then you can set the jet down and have him better suspended in the air. For those of us who do the, whoop, my bad, sorry about that. For those of us who do the jet mode display, personally, I think this is pretty ingenious for how they managed to get it all to work. But I think it's about time we stop messing around here and get to the real reason why we're here. And that's actually transforming this thing. Getting this thing into its normal jet mode is super simple. I can literally just do this in one take, so it's not going to matter. This is the smaller jet form. You know, for all intents and purposes, it is pretty decent. He does also have landing gear, which folds out from here and folds out from here. So if you so wished, why are you not flipping out now? There we go. So if you so wished to have this displayed separately, you could have it on the ground. The wheels do roll, so there you go. And for the actual transformation to robot mode for this, you actually do need this. And you'll see why in just a moment. Coming to the top of the jet, fold the wings all the way in like that. Fold those in like that. Come to the underside, undo these tabs, and then pull on the legs. This has always been super stiff. There we go. It feels like you're going to break it at first, but you just got to give it a nice tug, and eventually it'll come. So yeah, extend the legs. Rip off the nose cone. Bring the arms up at the shoulder, like this. Flip the feet down and split the legs. One of the coolest things about this is the relatively show-accurate style transformation of the arms. Mine's showing his age because the joints on this are super stiff. Once you get it, so yeah, there we go. And for all intents and purposes, that is the standard robot. But to fully complete it, we need this. So flip this down. And you can see in there, there is a tab right there, dead center. That this dude with a little port on his back where the screw is, you're gonna set him into that. And upon getting him in there, like it's a bit tricky, especially when you're trying to do it behind a camera. But once you get him in there, like, you really gotta get him up and in there. Like, I think I got it. Like, once you get him pegged in, he's very solid. But then, out of the show, you close it up, and there he is. I got him cleaned up, and we'll take a closer look at him. And here's the secondary robot, Saber. Um, it's Saber. You can clearly tell he's not really meant to be the main event. You can arm him up with his sword, which this is really cool because they wanted this guy to be as fully featured as possible, and I like that. I dig that. I kind of put that in the wrong way, but you get the gist of it. He can hold his sword, and if you flip this piece down on this, you can plug this onto his shoulder, which kind of acted as a shield, and and in the show he rode this as the actual bigger sword as like a surfboard. Victory was weird, man. It was a personal favorite of mine, but it was still weird nonetheless. Overall, there's not a lot of really complaining I can do about this. He can also hold the gun, because of course he can. At this rate, I'm just kind of decking him out. You can clearly tell that most of these accessories were meant for him. Whereas in comparison to the bigger robot, you can tell these really don't work with it. But, it's whatever. Size comparison-wise, why am I here? Articulation-wise, the head only turns left and right due to the gimmickry. I'm perfectly okay with this, but if they would have gutted this and just allowed for a straight up, actual head, that probably would have fixed the issue of only the head swiveling. Or, what? Screw it. He's a small enough figure. We could go through it in one take. Ratchet in the shoulder that goes forward and back, but it is blocked by what's on the back. In and out shoulder movement. A diagonally cut bicep swivel. A single joint at the elbow. A wrist joint because he's a swordsman. I would hope and pray he has wrist swivels. Due to everything that this figure does, the separate robot here does not have a waist swivel. There's no room for it. It is a bit of a shame, but I am ultimately okay with it. The hips are on two separate axes that allow it to go in and out. From the pelvis, forward and back. Can he pull off the full Monty? Nah, not really. Oh well. Upper thigh joint right there. Ratcheted knee. So he really can't do the splits either, which, again, he's really not the main event, so he really doesn't have a lot of articulation, but the fact that they gave him as much as he's got, it definitely does aid in some posing potential. So if it was just this dude, I would give it a bronze seal at best, because he's very limited. But again, that's bearing in mind if it was just him on his own. But it's not just him on his own, because you gotta bear in mind here, we still have this to go into. Let's do it. Coming down here, we're going to close these up first. Unpeg these and bring them down like this. Do the same thing on the other side. That's just proof of age right there. Sheesh. Rotate just the thigh joint to where you have this piece showing, because that is what will give you the knee bend. Fold up the wings, take off the super head from this clip and then fold this piece up. Well, make sure that stays in before you fold it up, but you get the point. Open up his giant feet. Fully extend his arms. And that's good to go. Take your saber, strip him of all his accessories, and basically just cube him up. Basically get him to about here. All you're going to do is just collapse that first bit. Keeping his knees bent forward like that is what's going to allow you to do this properly. Because once you have it bent in like this, you're going to be able to fold this up as tight as possible to the chest. Then you come in here and flip open the vents. Time to connect him into this. So you're going to open this up. Take him, and there is a little latch right here that you basically clip onto this little piece right here. Once he's on that, just go ahead and give him a bit of a push. And with the wings flipped forward, close in these gray panels. Fold those wing bits in, and you're noticing his head looks a bit small. That's where this comes in. Because you're going to rotate the antenna up like this. And then we're going to show off one of the coolest gimmicks ever. Stay with me, y'all. Bottle up! It doesn't work as well as it used to. Look at it. Look at how beautiful it looks. Let's go ahead and arm him up real quick. If you either just take the extended handle and clip it in, you can have him use that. But I'm not going to do that for the sake of, time. Because that would take a hot minute to actually get it set up. So we're going to go ahead and open this up even further. Flip out the handle. Close this up. Bring this down. And again, big old chonker of a blade. Just go ahead and get that nice and tabbed in and snug. And he holds onto it with the typical Masterpiece style. Peg in the palm. There we go. Now, the other weapon can either be this, which does not make much sense at all, not even in the slightest. That, and for whatever reason, mine can never hold the gun properly. Like, this never holds properly. I don't know, it just doesn't. Or, you can take your shield, and you can have him hold this. And you just get it in there. It's been a while since he's held the shield, I'm going to be honest. At this point, you pretty much get the idea. He can hold the shield. Maybe if I slide it here first and then close it up, he'll hold it. There we go. You get the gist. He can utilize a shield. Me personally, I wish there was a way to arm mount it. For the lack of a better term, something kind of like a typical knight shield, where instead of just holding it out in front of him, he could hold it at more of like that angle. That would have been really cool, but alas, that's something that they did not take into account with this. Oh well. Size comparison wise, there he is with Fans Hobby Athena. Because why not? There he is with MP Wheeljack. Fans Hobby Power Baser. And entirely because I'm on my flex game, MP44. Articulation wise, the head basically remains the same. The shoulders, on the other hand, are very stiff ratchets that go forward, that basically rotate, but you don't really get much in the realm of outward on the shoulder joint itself, but you get an extra joint down here to get further out for the arm. Double jointed elbow, bicep swivel that is detended, straight up friction forearm swivel, wrist swivel, opening fingers with just straight up typewriter fingers. I see how this annoys people, and this is the only figure that this annoys me with. He's got the slightest detent of a waist swivel and a somewhat dedicated ab crunch, but there's really not a lot of movement gained out of it. Like, just, it's kind of there, but at the same time it kind of isn't. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It's kind of there. You can get something out of it, but it's not much. It's not really that big a deal. I just felt I needed to point it out. Bearing in mind, my hips are upgraded. Very stiff ratchets going in and out. Flipping the hip skirts forward. Very stiff going forward and back. I'm really hoping that I'm not tearing up the thighs by doing that. Speaking of thighs, he's got a thigh swivel, as well as a lower knee swivel. A super, super stiff, thanks to the upgrades, knee bend. And what is honestly the most pathetic ankle tilt ever. Like, that's it. He gets more pivot than he does tilt. This has got to be the biggest oversight for his articulation. There should have been more movement in here. I mean, maybe because of the fact that I haven't been folding these up properly? Nope. Yeah, there's no real way to get more ankle movement out of this. It's just straight up, either straight or slightly tilted. That's the maximum you're getting out of those ankles. Overall build for him, you can tell that there are other figures that feel a lot better than him. And it hurts for me to say that. I don't know what it is about the Japanese continuity, but for whatever reason, there's not enough effort being put into these characters. And it makes me sad. Because just some of the designs from the Japanese continuity are awesome. It makes me sad, but that's just kind of the way of things. I have to be critical. That's what being critical means. A gimmick that I know for a fact I missed for the jet mode, these things do open up to reveal missiles. While we're at it, let's go ahead and start storing stuff. So I typically just go ahead and leave this down. You don't have to. You can flip this piece up if you so wish. But effectively, I normally try to use this port to store this. Actually, no, never mind. Wasn't this? Yeah, it was this. I typically will use this bit to store that. And then I'm pretty sure, was it this one? No, it's not that one. That just falls straight through. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Yeah, that one stores in there. Your more traditional Starsaber sword would go in there. This sword, as you can, or this blade, as you can see, it's a lot larger. So you could put it back here, but it would cause more of an issue. As far as actually storing the sword or the actual handle for this, there is 3 slots in here that you can tab onto either one of these. I think usually I use the middle one. Usually I either use the middle one or I use either of the side ones. I'm pretty sure it was the side ones you're supposed to use. No, it's the middle one because it's specifically cut to fit over the middle one. So yeah, there you go. As far as the gun goes, you can fold this up, and I normally just point it straight down because it just makes storing it a lot easier, but it basically just pegs in right there. But unfortunately, there is no realistic way to store the shield, the handle extension, and the stand. So, slight oversight there, and that is the beanie coming out of his little hiding spot. So, I'm going to go ahead and give it a pause real quick. We'll come back and do the final thoughts then. Final thoughts wise, let's go into the negatives. I feel like my biggest glaring negative here is all the modes that are of the robot scales. Their articulation is extremely limited. Now, naturally, the bigger robot poses a lot better than the smaller ones, but that doesn't really mean much when a lot of the joints he does have don't get a lot of movement. For instance, the shoulders, very limited. The waist and ab crunch, very limited. The ankles, the biggest offender in my eyes, very limited. The overall feel of the figure for how big he is, and there's not nearly as much die-cast being used here. It's all mostly in these cannon bits and the bottoms of his feet. That's literally it. I feel like if they would have included a little bit more die-cast, it probably would have solidified a lot more of his joints. But as it stands, the figure feels very, very cheap. Which, of course, the figure by itself was not cheap. In fact, he was one of the more expensive masterpieces. He was, I want to say, $180 right out the door when he initially first came out. And his price only kept getting higher. Now I'm pretty sure you could get him relatively cheap, because not a lot of people are really after this guy, but say what you will, there's not a lot here to really back that up. The chromeware, you can tell that this stuff is not gonna last very long. You can already see on just my stock sword blades, as it is, the chrome does not last for very long on this. Like, I had it for like a week and it was already starting to get cloudy. I did my best to clean them, but nothing would take. And I guess we can slam on to the fact that this is technically an older masterpiece now. And this didn't do nearly as hot as Japan was hoping. And that's not good. That's really not good. Because I'm pretty sure that they had a Victory Leo planned for the future. Now I'm not so sure he's coming. Because of the fact that this didn't do nearly as hot. Before I go into the positives, I completely forgot, he does have a dedicated butterfly joint. Again, it's been a while since I really posed this thing, so I completely forgot he had that. So there you go. It unlatches, it folds forward, there you go. Positives wise though, this dude has one hell of a display presence, especially when you're using the swords. You can tell that just by his very different and very in-your-face design that this looks like one of those characters you don't want to mess around with, and I like that. The lack of paint definitely promotes more of a playability to him. The simplified transformation makes flipping him back and forth a lot more fun, and there's less worry of having to chip the paint. The articulation, despite having some serious limitations, still allows for some really awesome poses. Especially something like this. And just the fact that he kind of started the whole idea of we don't have to just do normal G1. We can do other continuities as well. So effectively what I'm saying is I feel like he was the stepping stone. He was laying the groundwork that led to the Beast Wars masterpieces, which I will be taking a look at more of them as time goes on. And overall, he is part 1 to a series of 3 videos. The next one that we are going to be taking a look at will be KFC Simba. I hope you guys are ready for that, because I know I am. But with that said, guys, I've taken up enough of your time. This is BC saying stay nerdy and get your geek on. I'll talk to you guys later.